Greetings ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog here, and I am from the likes of the Mexi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll present you our next new Let's Play for the channel, and this time we're going to be hit on to the third and the final game on the Donkey Kong game trilogy for the Super Nintendo stuff. So because of that, remember in 2019 that we've already tackled the original Donkey Kong Country, and in last year in 2020 we've managed to tackle through Donkey Kong Country 2, and now in 2021 we are now tackling through the third game in the series, Donkey Kong Country 3, well predictably known as Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble. This game first came out in 1996, which I can't even believe it's been about 25 years old at that rate, and as a result though, that I'm really looking forward to able to actually doing this game for you guys, especially noticeable after doing it with a lot of Donkey Kong Let's Plays in the past. So either way though, let's get this thing to it. And yes, much like the original Donkey Kong Country, along with Donkey Kong Country 2, I'm going to be playing on the Wii U Virtual Console re-release, because I was expecting that I was going to be able to use the Super Nintendo Mini, but I have to do it by my own time. So either way, let's get to it. Now of course, like the previous two games, you can either go and do this all by your own with one-player game, or two-player team for two-player co-op action, or you can able to compete against each other with two-player contests. But for this playthrough, I'm going to be doing it by my own. So either way though, let's get this thing to it. And of course, we can able to type our name, such as I'm going to be typing my own name, which is of course Sonic the Hedgehog. Because obviously since yesterday that both Mighty and Ray are obviously working on Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury recently. So either way, yeah, let's get to it with Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble. So either way, yeah, let's hop right in. So yeah, the file selection is pretty cool because it's obviously almost related to that VHS tapes and stuff. So anyways, let's meet up with the forms of Winky Kong here, because obviously, or yeah, just Winky Kong from the likes of Donkey Kong Country 2, and well, she actually just tells us about the fact that what's been going on throughout the majority of the game. Because as far as I'm aware, the main plot in this game involves is the fact that, well, basically, Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong have been gone missing for the past few days, and as a result, it's up to Dixie Kong, along with the newcomer of the group, which I'll point it out whenever we get into it. So yeah, as you can see, this is where we're able to stumble across our save system. Now, unlike the forms of how it does it on Donkey Kong Country 2, that if you want to save the game, basically you do have to able to pay for free at first if you try and meet up with Winky Kong. But after you're able to go back there again, you have to pay 2 banana coins. So yeah, it's a bit inconvenient most of the time, but we'll get into more details about that later. So anyway, after that discussion with Winky Kong, we can now able to meet up with Funky Kong ever since in the previous two games, and he does manage able to bring someone else to the table, like Kiddy Kong. And this appears to be like a something like a baby kind of Kong, or anything else like that. So in this case though, we have to look after him for the majority of the adventure. So because of that, yeah, we're about to able to team up with Kiddy Kong and able to actually hopefully try to able to rescue Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong. So because of that, but we don't know exactly what the real culprit is. So anyway, so as you can tell, though, we ended up in the forms of the world map, and it functions kind of differently compared to the forms of how it does it on the previous two games, because now we can able to actually take control of the actual boat ships in certain segments. So before we get into the actual main action though, there's going to be some other secrets, mainly with the forms of, for example, we stumbled across our first cave in the game, which appears to be Bounty Beach, and basically in these segments here, we have to do a Simon Says kind of game, and if you do that accomplishment, then you were able to get yourselves one of these collectibles. Like, for instance, we stumbled across these banana birds. Now, those banana birds are helpful though, and especially noticeable it's mandatory if you really want to get the 100% completion, so I'll talk about that in a second. So let's head on to the first world in the game, Lake Orangatanga. So, it could be like a simple, easy world. And the first stage we have is Lakeside Limbo. So, yeah, rather than just taking place in new forms of the fledged jungle environments, so from the start anyway. So instead we ended up in the forms of likely a pyre to likely the water level or something. So, but I don't know. So yeah, this is Donkey Kong Country 3. If you guys have ever played the first game, along with the second game, you might be familiar with the gameplay style. You're still able to take control of 2 Kongs, but rather than take control of the forms of Donkey Kong or Diddy Kong this time around, although mind you, much like in Donkey Kong Country 2, that you're still able to take control of Dixie Kong, that she behaves exactly like the forms of how it does on the previous game, Donkey Kong Country 2, that you can still able to use her ponytail to able to actually act out as a helicopter, and basically that'll be super useful right there, especially noticeable in one of those bonus areas. And yes, bonus areas still makes a return ever since in Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2, but to be more specifically, it functions the same way as the forms of how it does it from previously. I'll get to more now in a second, because here we go with the forms of our enemy that we stumbled across, known as Coin. Yeah, I'm not kidding. That's what the name of the actual, the name of this enemy's name, by the way. And basically, he constantly managed able to use his DK coin as a shield. But you do need to able to figure out the actual way to able to actually get the DK hero coins. Because yes, much like in Donkey Kong Country 2, the DK hero coins do make a return, and it functions the same way as the forms of how it does in the previous game. So because of that, but the actual requirement is a bit different this time around, because you do need to be able to use those steel barrels in order to able to actually bust out the coin enemy. And then if you do that in a correct fashion, then you would able to get yourselves a hero coin. And of course, like the forms of how it does it on Donkey Kong Country 1, and especially noticeable in Donkey Kong Country 2, I'm going to be going for 100% completion of this playthrough. So because of that though, even though it might be a bit longer than the forms of how it does it on the previous 2 games, well, if depending on the forms of how the fact that if I was going to able to search for something. So, and here, this is where we stumbled across our new animal buddy. Well, usually relatively speaking, the only new animal buddy that is actually introduced in this game, known as Ellie the Elephant, which it kind of feels like similar to Rampy the Rhino from the likes of Donkey Kong Country 1 and 2. However, though, is the fact that she can no longer charge through enemies. So, yeah, that's something worth classifying for something like that. So yeah, that's pretty much about it for the first level. The next stage we'll hit on to is Doorstop Dash. And just like in the forms of Donkey Kong Country 1 and Donkey Kong Country 2, depending on what worlds you go into, or depending on what levels you go to, they obviously manage to take place in the, let's just say in a different theme, or a different environment. So, that seems kind of cool, especially noticeable that unlike in Donkey Kong Country, Returns, along with the forms of Tropical Freeze as well, they do obviously takes place in the exact same environment, if usually, relatively speaking. I know it has been quite a few days actually since I actually last touched upon the forms of Donkey Kong Country Returns, both on the Wii and the 3DS versions, and along the same lines as the Tropical Freeze, just because obviously I'm still playing Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020 recently, just because of how the fact that, well, I'm pretty darn certain that the actual official Tokyo Olympics is almost going to be finished by then, until specifically this Sunday, for the sake of the closing ceremony. So even then though, still we're doing pretty well though, even though I was going to mention about the forms of the medal counts details, but unfortunately though, we'll have to save it up until specifically on Thursday. So because of that, yeah, it's very different from the likes of how it does on the daily uploading schedules for this game this time around. Because obviously, I think, if I recall correctly, that since we've done Donkey Kong Country 1 from the likes of Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays or something like that, and then as far as I'm aware, Donkey Kong Country 2, pretty much the same thing, along with the forms of Sonic events between Tuesdays and Thursdays. This game this time around though, we'll go for Tuesdays and Thursdays this time around, because obviously that, you know, Mighty and Ray are pretty much working on, you know, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury for the sake of Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from now on. Although, as far as I'm aware, that we'll let them to talk more details about that until the majority of the month of August, so... Because, yes, today's day is, of course, the 3rd of August today, in this case in 2021, and, for what I've heard on several other, speculations at the moment across the internet, that there may actually be a rumored Nintendo Direct at some point until next month, in September. You know, just like it informs of how it does it on 2017, 18, and 19, the only exception being 2020, just because of the forms of, well, obviously we do have the Mario 35th anniversary back then, as well as the forms of the partner showcases, which I wasn't really a big fan of those things, just because, well, it just feels lacking with the forms of first-party developers, so, but I digress. So as I said before, the bonus areas do make a return from the likes of the previous games, and they function kind of the same thing as the forms of how it does it on the second game, just because, obviously, that you will able to stumble across those different kind of objectives when it comes to bonus areas. Like, for instance, that since we've already technically done the past few bonus areas throughout the game, that basically sometimes the objectives can be summed up as like, you know, get the coin, bash all the enemies and stuff like that, and the new types of the forms of those, oh, and also grabbing stars as well. And the new ones in the lineup when it comes to bonus objectives is the forms of grabbing those green bananas, specifically a certain amount of those green bananas, which I wasn't really a big fan of that particular bonus thing right there, because obviously that I'll explain more details about that in a moment. So anyways, let's go ahead and save our game here, and hopefully we should... Wait a minute, that theme sounds familiar. That appears to be something more accurately Peach's castle theme from Super Mario 64. That's only because this game came out the same year as when Super Mario 64 came out, just around before when the Nintendo 64 was actually first revealed, so, or first released I should say, between the North American and the Japanese release. Although mind you, the European version didn't came out until 1997, so anyway, so from here, that we actually stumbled across the Barnacle'S Island right there, and basically he got the actual banana bird, but here's the thing though, we do need to acquire a specific item in order able to get that banana bird. Speaking of that banana bird, here's the another cave secret if you manage to go all the way over there, and then basically it will actually lead us to Smuggler's Cove, and basically we can do the same thing for the Simon Says kind of game. So yeah, you have to do this a lot, by the way, if you really want to go after every single banana bird. But here's the catch though, is the fact that you can also do some specific side quests. So yeah, this is going to be quite a long journey of experience for this game. So, but at least I don't mind about this at all, because, well, some people seem to say about the fact that out of all the actual Super Nintendo games for the Donkey Kong trilogy of games, oh, I'll talk more about that in a second. So here's the next level, which is Tidal Trouble. And once again, we're going back into this particular level environment right there. So, yeah, that's pretty much as far as I'm aware. So, yeah, and also another thing is worth mentioning for is the fact that this game also came out on the Game Boy Advance, but it wasn't until in 2005 they managed able to release it on the Game Boy Advance. And what I've noticed is the fact that the Game Boy Advance version might actually be the best version of the game, at least if I'm not mistaken. But because obviously, in addition to able to actually having themselves some you know, different amount of content, like for instance we got ourselves some more bonusy stuff, and also to top it off, they're able to actually include a new world exclusively to the Game Boy Advance version, which as far as I'm aware, it's actually obviously based off from the winter themed kind of world, which I'll talk more about until then. So here's the next bonus area right there, which obviously we do need to grab 30 stars. Even then, I was expecting if I was gonna able to try to find that specific animal body, but apparently I did somehow manage to able to do the nerve-wracking move by able to actually just take a hit and then able to lose Dixie Kong and then take control of Kiddy Kong. And yeah, I did not meant to do that, because especially noticeable that oh dang it, I did it too early. That was my first death of the playthrough, so I do apologize for that, so we'll try this again. But anyway, how it works for Kiddy Kong, as far as I'm aware, for the actual, his movesets and what have you, basically, he's more likely like a powerhouse or something like that. Although, mind you, though, is the fact that his jumps wasn't exactly the most relative thing to me, though. But at the very least, he does have some very useful stuff. Mainly with, like, busting out the ground if you try to use the tag action with Dixie Kong and what have you. Although I'll talk more about that in a second, because here's the forms of Unguard the Swordfish. Which, yes, he does make a return from the likes of the first game and the second game. So, and of all the actual animal buddies of the rest of the Donkey Kong Country games on the Super Nintendo department, Unguard the Swordfish is the only animal buddy that does make an appearance in all 3 games, pretty much. So, at least you can able to take control of him in all 3 games, basically. So, yeah, that seems kind of relevant and all that stuff, though. So, either way, though, that seems totally obvious. So yeah, a few things we want to explain, or I'll get to more now in a second, because as you notice that we keep on collecting those particular silver coins, although keep this in mind, these are known as the bear coins, and these bear coins will be helpful though, especially noticeable if you try to take on the forms of several side quests to follow, and we'll point it out in a second. So in this case though, let's do this little the helicopter ability for Dixie Kong. Because there's also another ability you can able to use, but only Kiddy Kong can able to handle it. Which I'll point it out specifically until on Thursday, until if we get to one of those levels. Because, well, I'm sure that most people already know what I was going to talk about. So either way though, yeah, I just really love using the actual helicopter ability for Dixie Kong. Because, you know, you can able to actually skip certain portions throughout, which is, well, top-notch in all things considered. So, and obviously in this level's gimmick is the fact that we have to deal with the forms of the tidal wave. And yeah, there's another thing about this game compared to the forms of the previous 2 games. Relatively speaking, is that most of these levels do have their own specific gimmicks, which we'll point it out until specifically whenever we get to the later portions of the game. So anyways, let's move on to the forms of the next level, which is Scatterer's Row. Now, this level seems out of place for this particular world's theme. That's only because this is a snowy themed level. Yeah, a snowy themed level from the very beginning of the game. So, how inappropriate, or how appropriate, or I have no idea. I know it has been a couple of days since I actually did manage to last touch upon certain stuff throughout. Although, mind you, that you know, Mighty and Ray are usually managed to get started with, you know, the next new Let's Play. So, or technically speaking, the actual second playthrough of Super Mario 3D World with a much more better quality, as well as the forms of much more faster speed, just like in my, well, speed is my game or something like that, or maybe, I don't know. So yeah, as you can tell, that since we keep on able to actually do those bonus areas, that we're still able to actually get those special, like, coins. However though, unlike in Donkey Kong Country 2, that the only rewards you can get if you complete certain bonus areas, and that's the forms of these Krem coins. However though, this time around though, in this game, is the fact that it's just bonus coins, and, well, the B coins as far as I like to call them, because obviously with the B representing the forms of bonus, so. And what these little B coins can be used for? Well, we'll find out until eventually later on, for the sake of this playthrough. So either way though, now let's go ahead and find the coin. So while dealing with the forms of those specific enemies like so. Still, the visuals look super amazing, especially if this is still made by the advanced computer modeling and stuff like that, which I think is actually super top-notch, all things considered. Which kind of also did the same thing for Toy Story, along with the forms of other titles that I don't even know about, but I have no words to think about, so. Alright, so we need to be very careful not to mess this up, because otherwise, if we somehow mess this up, then thankfully we've got a midway point barrel, so at least we can able to respawn onto that specific segment. But of course, we've already finished the levels, so now let's move on to the next level, which is Murky Mill. For this level's gimmick, is the fact that we need to take control of one of those animal buddies throughout the whole level, much like the forms of Donkey Kong Country 2 for certain levels. So in this case, in this level's case, we need to take control of the forms of Ellie the Elephant the whole time, and basically, for this level's gimmick is that, well, we don't want to get spotted by the forms of those specific mouse-like enemies, with the forms of that specific little, these searchlights. So, because obviously, if Ellie managed able to actually stumble across the actual mouse from that little searchlight, basically, she will able to get freaked out, and then as a result, that you will able to lose control for a bit. So, yeah, that's the whole entire purpose of this level's gimmick, and yeah, because, as I said before, this game is going to be filled to the brim with a lot of gimmicks like such, which, out of all the actual Donkey Kong Country games on the Super Nintendo, that some people seem to say this is one of the weakest of the trilogy, but honestly it's not too bad. I mean, usually relatively speaking, it's not perfect by any means. I mean, we'll point it out whenever we get into the actual final faults of this game, until specifically later on, because obviously, that we've only barely just got started, so... Anyways, there's a bonus area down there, and to do that, you have to be able to take down these little, these kind of like a zingy chainsaw looking enemies. They managed able to block your entrance to the actual bonus area, and basically that's how you do if you use the steel barrels. And then in the bonus area, you have to take down all of the enemies by simply using a barrel. So it's not too shabby and not too difficult, but hey, at least that's short something, I suppose. Now, speaking of these bonus areas throughout the whole game, usually in some level exceptions, that every single stage does manage to contain 2 bonus areas each, so, along with the forms of the DK Hero Coin, of course. So, yeah, that's something worth classifying for noticing this, so... But, either way though, I will able to actually just try to find every single bonus areas throughout the game, so you can get the idea about the forms of several of accomplishments and all that stuff, so... So yeah, a few things I want to explain while I was gonna go for the entire level. Obviously that today's day is of course the 3rd of August, which I think I already said this already. So, a few things we want to explain is the fact that this might be actually be kind of sad, until specifically for Dr. Mario fans. That basically is the fact that the Dr. Mario World, the actual iPhone game, or the iOS mobile game, that whatever to be most precise, unfortunately though, that particular game is going to close down the service until specifically the beginning of November, specifically the 1st of November. So because of that, that might actually upset some people, but either way though, mainly because of the fact that if they haven't touched that for a long period of time, or maybe because of the forms of the fact that, I don't know, it's like unpopular, or that game is like very unpopular compared to the forms of how it does it on Super Mario Run, or Mario Kart Tour even. But usually, relatively speaking, speaking of Mario Kart Tour actually, that I managed able to go back into that game for a bit, and I somehow once again got myself screwed over by the forms of the stupid item system, and not to mention the stupid gotcha moments, and because of that though, I seriously keep on getting myself screwed over by... I was expecting if I was trying to able to get something like higher end, but chances are it's luck based, and also that I somehow once again got screwed by that the stupid results with the forms of the constant gamble for the Team Rally kind of thing, because I was expecting I was going to play as Team Mario for the sake of the entirety of the whole match, but chances are that Team Peach is in the lead at the moment, and I was like, well, that's just terrific. But anyway, let's just go ahead and finish the level. So either way though, unfortunately I don't have my Kitty Kong with me, but that's okay because, well, we'll point it out in a moment. So let's meet up with Swanky Kong here in Swanky's Slight Sideshow. And basically, much like the forms of Donkey Kong Country 2, that basically you weren't able to participate in the event. However though, unlike in Donkey Kong Country 2, that all you think you can do is just basically you have to do a quiz trivia, and then basically if you get them correct, then you would able to get yourselves 1-ups and all that. However, in this game, in addition to able to actually just giving you an option to able to actually get yourselves 3 games, which is head-to-head, Race to 25, or Endurance modes, but also if you somehow manage to win either of those games, basically you would able to win not only a whole bunch of bananas, but also 4 extra bear coins, so... Excuse me, I'm really sorry about that point, folks, because I somehow almost got myself my cocky throat, but that's okay. So with head-to-head right there, all you have to do is basically you have to able to be fast on this though, because obviously that we do need able to face off against with Cranky Kong here. And basically, if you somehow manage able to win, like if you go way up ahead, then you would able to actually win. So, and as far as race to 25, you have to get 25 points first to win. And as far as endurance though, we need able to go for how long can you able to keep up for the actual game. So, yeah, I think I can usually describe about the forms of Swanky's bonus games in particular. So, thankfully it only cost about 2 bear coins, but I think this might actually be the only time we're going to be able to stumble across this particular segments like these, because obviously there's not much right to home about, apart from the fact that you can able to get a bunch of bananas, and also you can able to get a whole bunch of bear coins and all that stuff, which might be pretty useful though, especially until, you know, later on that we're able to stumble across those side quests and all that stuff. So either way though, we're able to talk more about it later throughout the majority of the playthrough. So in this case though, let's go ahead and hit some more targets to able to actually just to, well, trying to able to caught up with the amount of points we can go after. Oh, and another thing that's worth mentioning for is the fact that yes, I did manage to able to go myself another DS game, but this time around the forms of Kirby Mass Attack for the DS. But this time around though, I managed to get the game physically, because, well, much like in Kirby Power Paintbrush or Canvas Curse in America, that I might decide able to do a practice run on my original DS cartridge form until eventually we might do a let's play of the game. I'm not exactly 100% sure, just because, well, obviously that's we don't have a DS capture card, but thankfully we can able to capture some DS footage thanks to the forms of the Wii U Virtual Console re-releases. So, just like how we did in the forms of Mario Kart DS, Super Mario 64 DS, Kirby Mouse Attack, along with the forms of New Super Mario Bros. On the DS, Mario Party DS, and I suppose that's pretty much about it. So either way though, but hey, at least that's something I suppose. So yeah, as you can see, we're now on to the endurance mode, and basically we need to keep up, and then that's how you're essentially gonna do. So yeah, so much else I can say about the forms of Donkey Kong Country 3, honestly. I mean, usually, relatively speaking, some people might seem to say this is more of the black sheep of the series, just because this game is going to be a lot of emphasis on gimmicks with certain levels. But, honestly, this game is not too bad, though. It might not be my favorite game in the series, although I still prefer Donkey Kong Country 2 over a bit more, mainly because of the forms of how the fact that that particular game has a lot of, like, challenge to it, and it's self-explanatory, but maybe it's just me. In fact, let me know in the comments below for the question of the day. What do you think about the forms of Donkey Kong Country 3 for the Super Nintendo? Well, do you like it as much as the first two? Well, let me know in the comments. So anyways, let's head over to Belcher's Barn, the final level of the first world. And this is to be more specifically the first boss in the game. And this boss is pretty easy. Basically, we need to bust out the barrel, and then every time you bust out the barrel, this particular random beetle-like enemy is able to pop up. Then when you stun him, or when you tumble the beetle over, you have to able to pick him up, and then your objective is the fact that we need to throw that beetle right into Belcher's, right inside Belcher's mouth. And then every time you do it for about 3 times, then, well, every time you're able to, like, every time he belches, basically he'll go backwards. And if you do it like 3 times, like I said earlier, then the boss is defeated. So, yeah, pretty simple and easy fight. And that concludes Lake Orangatanga. Although we're not exactly completely done with this world just yet though, because again, there's going to be some side quests, so it's able to actually go back into. So, suffice to say, I think we should probably end things off here, so join me next time on Let's Play Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble, and that is the fact that we'll move on to the next world in the game known as KREMHOOD Forest. So I'll see you guys on Thursday. Later, fellas.